Some children don't lose their childhood all at once. It disappears slowly, not because they wanted to grow up, but because life quietly taught them that being a child was no longer safe. No one sat them down and said, "From now on, you have to be strong." They just noticed one day that someone had to stay calm, someone had to stop causing problems, someone had to carry the emotional weight. And little by little, they became that person. This is the psychology of a child who grew up too fast. First, you learn to be easy. Psychology shows that children naturally express their needs. They cry, they ask for comfort, they seek safety. But children who grow up in emotionally stressful environments often learn something different. They learn that emotions create tension, needs create pressure, and vulnerability feels dangerous. So instead of becoming expressive, they become manageable, quiet, helpful, mature. They stop asking for too much. They apologize quickly. They learn how to read the room before speaking, not because they were born emotionally strong, but because survival taught them to take up less space. And the painful part is, adults usually praise them for it. You're so mature for your age. But maturity isn't always wisdom. Sometimes it's a child learning that their feelings come second. Second, you became independent too early. Developmental psychology shows that when children cannot rely on consistent emotional support, the brain adapts by becoming hyper-independent. They stop expecting comfort, they stop asking for help, and eventually, they convince themselves they don't need anyone at all. But independence built from emotional survival feels very different from healthy confidence. Healthy independence says, "I can handle things." Survival independence says, "I have to handle everything alone." So even as adults, they struggle to trust support. They feel uncomfortable depending on people. They fear becoming a burden. They prepare for disappointment before connection even begins. Because somewhere deep inside, their nervous system learned this: people might not be there when I need them. Third, rest started to feel unsafe. For many children who grew up too fast, peace never truly felt peaceful. When the house became quiet, something bad usually followed: an argument, stress, emotional tension, unpredictability. So the brain adapted by staying alert. Psychologists call this hyper-vigilance. Their nervous system becomes trained to constantly scan for danger, even when danger is no longer there. And later in life, this creates a strange problem. They don't know how to rest. Not fully, because slowing down creates discomfort. Doing nothing feels wrong. Being unproductive feels guilty. Relaxation feels undeserved. So they stay busy, they overthink, they keep moving. Not because they want success, but because stillness feels unfamiliar. And sometimes, the only time they feel valuable is when they are needed by someone else. Fourth, you learn to hide your needs. Children who grow up emotionally overwhelmed often become extremely emotionally aware. They notice tone changes instantly, mood shifts, silence, facial expressions. They become experts at reading others. But while they become good at understanding people, they slowly lose connection with themselves. Because their attention was always focused outward. How is everyone feeling? Is something wrong? Do I need to fix this? And eventually, their own emotional needs become difficult to identify. They struggle to ask for comfort. They minimize pain. They say, "I'm fine," automatically. Even when they're exhausted. Even when they're drowning internally. Because needing support started to feel selfish. And after years of surviving this way, receiving care can feel uncomfortable, even when they desperately want it. Fifth, the strong one is often the most tired. People who grew up too fast are often described as strong, reliable, responsible, emotionally mature. And sometimes they are. But strength developed through survival usually comes with hidden exhaustion, because they learned strength before softness, responsibility before safety, performance before emotional security. They became the person everyone depends on while secretly wishing someone would finally ask, "Are you okay?" And the hardest part is, many of them don't even know how to stop being strong anymore, because strength became their identity. But psychology reminds us of something important. Survival behaviors are not personality traits. They are adaptations, and adaptations can heal. Finally, healing means learning safety again. Healing does not mean becoming weak. It means realizing you no longer have to survive every moment emotionally. You no longer have to earn rest, earn love, earn care. You are allowed to have needs. You are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to be supported without guilt. And maybe, for the first time in your life, you can stop carrying responsibilities that were never meant for a child. Because you were never supposed to become emotionally strong that early. You were supposed to feel safe first. And if this video felt painfully familiar, maybe the child inside you was never too mature. Maybe they were simply trying to survive.